Okay, it's 2 o'clock, so I will call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Lawton City Council to order. Please stand for the invocation by Pastor Jared Burns of Central Baptist Church and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor.
Let's pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for your goodness and your kindness to us. We thank you for your blessings. In particular, Father, we thank you for the rights that we enjoy that are a gift from you and the freedoms we have that have been secured by the sacrifices of so many. And Father, as our elected representatives come together today to transact business and take care of the needs of the city, Father, we just pray that you would give them wisdom and discernment to take care of the issues that face the city and take care of the needs of the citizens. Father, we just pray that you'd give them all that they stand in need of in order to do their jobs. Father, we love you and we ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you, Pastor Burns. And please call the roll.
Hankins. Harris. Chapman. Burke. Hampton. Fortenbaugh. Johnson. Warren.
Thank you. And now we'll have a proclamation, presentation of the Citizens of the Month to the Oklahoma Dental Hygienist Association and the Delta Dental of Oklahoma Foundation. If you guys will please come forward. Do we have a hand mic?
There's one right there in front of Mike. That's how I feel.
I thought that was feedback on the mic.
I think he got louder.
Thank you.
All right, this is pretty exciting. And the Women's Commission, please come forward. Okay, here we all are. Let's spread out. I'm going to tell you, I can't even remember. Is this working? I can't remember what month it was that I came to Eisenhower. What month was that? Last October. You know, things get on my calendar and I just show up a lot of times. And I go out there and the dental hygienists were there and they were cleaning second graders' teeth and they were sealing their molars to prevent cavities. And we had the greatest conversation talking about how we could work together to get more kids that kind of health care, but even other dental care as we go along, and have had some discussions, some over lunch today. And that's very good, and I look forward to those great things happen. But I want to tell you, I was very impressed with what I saw, and I was most impressed with the heart of what I saw in there. And I'm going to read this, but what I really want you to know is this is a thank you from the community for caring about our children, okay? Whereas on October 7th and 8th, 2021, as an act of community service, Oklahoma Dental Hygienists Association and the Delta Dental of Oklahoma Foundation held their first SEAL Oklahoma Student Sealant Clinic at Eisenhower Elementary School. And whereas this collaboration was formed with the common goal of providing high-quality oral health care for Oklahoma's children to help prevent children from missing school due to tooth pain. Whereas 80 sealants comprising of a thin plastic coating painted on the chewing surfaces of teeth to protect them were provided to 26 second grade students at Eisenhower Elementary, along with individualized oral home care instructions. Whereas the Oklahoma Dental Hygienists Association and the Delta Dental Foundation have received national recognition from the American Dental Hygienists Association, and that recognition has opened a pathway of continued collaboration to explore the Delta Dental Grant to provide sealant clinics at all elementary schools in a local community. Locals here, right? Okay. Whereas Oklahoma Dental Hygiene, no pressure. Oklahoma Dental Hygienists Association, oh, I got up, lost my space, my plate. Whereas Oklahoma Dental Hygienists Association and the Delta Dental of Oklahoma Foundation spent a year planning the sealant clinic and spent approximately 400 volunteer hours a year. Now, therefore, I, Stan Booker, Mayor, City of Lawton, do hereby proclaim Oklahoma Dental Hygienists Association and Delta Dental of Oklahoma Foundation as citizens of the month for February 2022 and commend these organizations for their many contributions and unselfish commitment to the progress of this community and to the residents, the children of Lawton Fort Sill. On behalf of the City of Lawton, thank you for setting an inspirational example for others to emulate. Let's give them a round of applause. Now we have Teresa Singleton with Delta Dental and Lori Humphreys, and I'm going to let them do the other introductions.
Okay. Delta Dental of Oklahoma Foundation is proud to support oral health throughout the state of Oklahoma. We provide funding and equipment, but nothing gets done without the volunteer dental professionals, so we really appreciate the Oklahoma Dental Hygiene Association. They're big on volunteering, and we look forward to coming back to Lawton soon and doing more for your children.
Thank you. My name is Laurie Humphrey, and I'm the current president of the Oklahoma Dental Hygienists Association. And dental hygienists have hearts of service, and it was very exciting for us, local hygienists and hygienists from all over Oklahoma, to be able to come and to serve our kids at Eisenhower Elementary School. And it was a great opportunity to highlight the needs of our kids and also to put it on a national platform now. And this has really gotten the ball rolling so that we can have some other services provided right here in Lawton. So this is a very exciting time for us, and it was a real privilege for us to serve our kids. So thank you for the opportunity.
You want to introduce us all, or you want us to introduce ourselves? Okay. I'm Tina Tuck. I live in Weatherford, Oklahoma. I teach dental hygiene. I've been a dental hygienist for 30 years, and I love it, and I love serving children, so I'm glad to be a part of it. Thank you.
I'm Courtney Henderson. I live by Lake Letonka, so pretty close. I work in Carnegie, and I am the chairman for our Southwest component, which serves Lawton and surrounding areas.
I'm Elise Spencer Lopez from Elgin, Oklahoma. I've done dentistry now for over 25 years, and I'm currently the dental hygienist at the Lawton Correction Facility for GEO.
Right, and one of the things I thought was so neat was these hygienists come from Southwest Oklahoma to come here and work in their community project, and thank you for that. And now if you hold that up, they're going to take a picture of it. We need somebody from the Women's Commission. This is the Women's Commission recognition. So get Emily in here. Emily's the president. All right, let's give them another round of applause. Okay, and now we have some Oklahoma Municipal League Service Awards. Michael.
All right, thank you. As the mayor mentioned, we do have some service awards. These are certificates of appreciation and for years of service from Oklahoma Municipal League. And this is to recognize some of our employees with 25 years of service. So we're excited to do that. Would Mr. Robert Howard, Mr. Virgil Todd, and Mr. Terry Schroeder please come down? Hey. Terry. No. Gentlemen, OML presented these pins for your years of service. So here's your 25-year pin. Here's your 25-year pin. Here's your 25-year pin. And since I only have two hands, I got to give those to you so I can give these out. These are your certificates, right? So, Terry, right? Yes, sir. Mr. Schroeder, this is your certificate. Thank you so much for your 25 years of service. Thank you. Virgil, sir, here you go. Thank you so much for your 25 years of service. Robert, thank you so much for your 25 years of service. Thank you so much for your help. Okay. Now, I didn't mention, but Mr. Schroeder is in Public Utilities, Wastewater Collection, and the other two gentlemen, Mr. Robert Howard and Mr. Virgil Todd, both work in our solid waste collections and have done it for a number of years. So thank you all so much for your...
Let's give them another round of applause. Thank you guys so much. Now we're going to have a little change of order here.
We're going to get a picture first, man.
And we need to change our order of program here, and we'll go ahead and have the finance report. Joe Don?
Thank you, Mayor and Councilman. As you may have noticed with this month's financial report, it looks a little different than what you've seen in the past. We are trying to utilize our new system better, and this is this is part of the reporting systems of our new accounting and financial software. The first thing I'd like to direct your attention to will actually be the second to the last page of the report. That's the sales tax report. I think you've got a colored copy of it separately. Yes. For the month of February, for the year ending in the month of February and comparing it to last year through February, Lawton's sales tax is about 10.84% above where it was in 2021. I think this is the second year of growth that we've had based on our history, and I think that's indications of a very strong economy that we have here in Lawton, Oklahoma. Some of the things that I would like to point out is that on our general fund expenditures to budget, we're running at about 86% of our approved budgeted expenditures, and for the enterprise funds, we're running at about 73%. If there's anything that you would like to see different in these reports, please let Michael know, and we will certainly be happy to make any changes, make any additions, or anything else that you'd like to see. And if there's any questions.
Looks like we're good. Thank you, Joe Don.
You bet. Thank you all.
Now we move on to the reports by the mayor and city council, and we'll start down here with Ward 8. Nothing? Okay. Ms. Johnson?
This evening at the Chamber of Commerce, there's going to be a special guest speaker for Black History Month, and the information can be seen on the website, and if you have any questions, you can give me a call. It's a gentleman that is providing information about restoration for land, and it's going to be a really interesting speaker. So if you guys can join us, and it also will be a Zoom link as well.
All right, thank you. Mr. Fortenbaugh. Okay, Mr. Burke?
I just have a few things. One, I want to wish Mr. Hampton a speedy recovery, and we miss him very much. The next part is the FISTA report for January, and I'll kind of give you an update in February as well. We did meet and had construction bids go out, and we were able to get our second round of those bids returned to us, and we did bid openings, and we awarded those the bids that were done, and so we will expect construction to start at any time. Everything has been approved and is moving forward with the project manager. We had a meeting with Congressman COL and the FISTA, so everything is moving forward. At this moment, we have 11 current prospects that we believe will be signing contracts that hopefully as soon as we start nailing in some nails and doing some stuff that we need to do inside the Sears building. And we had some meetings also with Fort Sill to discuss the Counter Unmanned Aerial Systems School relocating to Fort Sill, which is very, very important to our community. And so that's ongoing, and we believe it's going to be some great stuff. So all that's good stuff. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Chapman?
Well, with the weather going to be changing again, it seems like every Wednesday and Thursday, I want to thank the city employees who are going to be out servicing the residents and keeping us safe. So thank you very much for your commitment.
Very good. Mr. Harris? And Ms. Hankins?
We've had some ward changes, so I want to be sure and let the people that I've acquired in Ward 1 know that I'm available to feel free to call and you know, talk with me or whatever, because I haven't established a relationship with that particular part of Ward 1, because when I was campaigning, that wasn't part of my ward. So I feel bad that I haven't met a lot of the people in that area. So call me.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we move on to audience participation. Anyone having an item of business to present to the City Council that does not appear on the agenda, please come forward at this time. We have a request to speak by Mr. Shane Whitlock. If you'll come forward, please. And Shane lives at 304 Southwest 20th. And you have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you, guys. Just wanted to thank you for all that you've already done with this situation. This is about the Aloha Trailer Park that is on the corner there, and anything that you're going to help us with in the future. 1 week before Christmas, the gentleman that lives at that trailer assaulted me, and your police officers came out. He wrestled with 3 of them in the alley and was taken to jail. They took him to jail for a couple weeks. While he was in jail, this is coming to me secondhand from someone he told. While he was in jail, the judge said, I'm not falling for this anymore. You're going to stay in here. So he pretended like he was going to hang himself with a towel to get into Taliaferro, knowing that he would be able to get out of Taliaferro in a couple days. 3 days after he gets out of jail for that assault, I'm inside my house, and in the middle of the night at 11 o'clock, I hear a big bang on the side of my house, and I come out, and he's got a 6-foot piece of fence post from a chain link fence where he's hit on the side of my house, and he's in a crazed fit from drugs, thinking that I had touched one of his bikes over there. When he figured out that it was the neighbors down the street that had done it, by the time the cops got there, he was in an agitated state. Once again, he fought with the cops, went to jail, this time only for 3 days. 3 days after that, he got out of jail. After that, he was out for about a week until this last weekend on Sunday, and that's why I'm here today. Again, he threatened me, waving this around, coming at me with it till I had to run across the street to the neighbor's house. I believe that you're only allowed to carry a 6-inch blade here in town. Anything above that is supposed to be illegal. The police come out, they're there for maybe 10 minutes, tell me there's really nothing they can do. It just keeps getting worse, it seems like. All I'm asking for today is let your police officers do their job. Let them take this guy to jail if they need to take him to jail. It seems like there's someone higher up that's calling the shots and not letting them do what they need to do. And it's going to get worse to where my mom's going to either be without her son from him doing something to me, or I'm going to have to protect myself, and then I'm going to get in trouble as the good guy, just protecting myself, defending myself, and be thrown in jail for the rest of my life for something that I've wanted help for a while.
Sir, have you filed a criminal complaint with the city prosecutor?
Every time that they've asked me to fill out whatever I needed to fill out, and after this Sunday, yesterday was a holiday, and I came in here to get the paperwork today, and it was only about 30 minutes. I thought this was at 5 o'clock, to tell you the truth. So right from here, I'm going to file an order of protection downtown.
Well, make sure you see our city prosecutor in the Public Safety Center as well and file a criminal complaint, and then that way we can get the ball rolling there too.
Okay. Thank you, guys, and thank you for all that you've already done.
Thank you for coming. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward to address an issue that is not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted with one motion. Should discussion be desired on an item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda prior to action and considered separately. Have a request to strike item number 2 because the amended version of the Parks Master Plan did not get here, and then we're pulling item number 9. Council, are there any other items that you would like to pull? Do I have a motion?
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented with the exceptions of item number 2 being stricken and pulling item number 9.
Do we have a second? And a second. Please call the roll. Or please vote. Motion carries 7-0. With that, we move on to item number 9. Consider awarding RFP CL 22-021 Fire Service Cost Recovery Billing and Collection to Fire Recovery USA. Jared. Chief Jared.
Mayor, Council, how are you guys this afternoon? This is our cost recovery program that was enacted in 2012. It's time for our annual, or I guess semi-annual renewal of our contract for going out for receiving our funds. And this is a great program for us. Over the life of the program since 2015, we've been able to obtain $211,000, be able to go back and fund different programs and things that we don't always have the budget money for. The last biggest item that we purchased was rescue gear for all of our firefighters, and that was a little over almost $200,000 worth of equipment. So this is a fund that is great for us. We're able to go in and help. We bill motor vehicle accidents, hazardous materials incidents, and technical rescue incidents, things that are outside of the normal non-fire suppression duties of the fire department. And I would entertain any questions.
Council, are there any questions? Sitting Attorney?
Jared, can you explain to council why you guys chose this vendor? Because I know this vendor wasn't the lowest bidder, but so can you kind of talk through why you guys did that?
Our current vendor has a proven track record with us. They advertise a 95% collection rate. Over the life of, since we've been with them the past 7 years, we've had a 97% collection rate with this vendor. The other vendor, the other respondent, has a 40 to 70% collection rate. So we believe that while they do charge a little higher fee for collection, it is a better deal for the citizens.
Okay. Any other questions?
Move to approve.
Motion for approval. Is there a second? A second. Discussion or debate? Please vote. Motion carries 7-0. Takes us up to our business items. Hold a public hearing and consider a request for a use permitted on review to allow an indoor medical marijuana grow facility in the F floodplain district zoning classification that is located less than 1,000 feet from a non-agriculture or flood zone. The request is located at 1614 Southeast Sharps Lane, Lawton, Oklahoma, 73501. Cameron.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. This is for a use permitted on review request to allow a indoor medical marijuana grow facility in the flood zoning classification. This is located off of Sharps Lane, which is east of Interstate 44 and south of Lee. The surrounding zoning and the current zoning are all F for flood. The current site plan, this is an existing structure that they are converting for this indoor grow facility, so it will not have an impact on the floodplain. The current land use for this is agriculture. This property, the notice was mailed to 2 property owners within 300 feet on January 28th and posted in our Lawton Constitution on February 4th. We did not receive any phone calls for or against or any mailings for or against. The CPC's recommendation was to approve.
Any questions or a motion? Oh, I didn't do the public hearing. Sorry. At this time, I'll open the public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak on this item, please come forward at this time. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Now do we have a motion or further discussion?
Move to approve.
Motion for approval, is there a second? Second. And a second. Discussion or debate? Please vote. Motion carries 7-0. Moving us on to item 13. Discuss duties of the Lawton Traffic Commission and direct any desired functional changes. Larry.
Mayor, Council, this was an item briefly discussed back in the December 7th City Council meeting, and it's to discuss the duties and responsibilities of the Traffic Commission. Part of that discussion was geared around speed table installation and the criteria that we use to select those locations. That criteria is indicated in our traffic calming policy, and just a couple of approvals took place. The Traffic Commission approved it back in July of 2020. City Council approved it in August of 20. And just based on the City Code, the Traffic Commission itself is established to coordinate traffic reports, receive complaints that have to do with traffic matters, to recommend to the Council and to the City Traffic Engineer, Chief of Police, and other city officials ways and means for improving traffic conditions and administration and enforcement of traffic regulations. So again, this agenda item is just for discussion of the Commission itself and to direct staff to change the functions of that Commission in any way.
Mr. Warren?
Mayor and Council, my sole issue with this was basically the installation of speed tables. I think other than that, you know, the Traffic Commission's probably a good thing. But I just feel like, I don't know if it's the criteria that needs to change or if we just need to be able to have a shortcut to council. Because the issue that I'm having is you pick a street, and a good example is Compass that runs from Gore up and around to 67th Street, which happens to be a cut through for people. There's no stop sign except at Columbia. People go so fast through there that if you look at the intersection of Euclid and Compass, you can see where the oil pans and the substructure of the cars have dug into the concrete. That's how fast they're going when they go through there. Yet it doesn't meet the criteria, that roadway doesn't, because there wasn't, and I don't have it in front of me, but there wasn't enough cars going fast enough down through there. Well, to me, if you live on that street and you have 10 cars a day that are going 40 miles an hour, that's more than an adequate reason, because it's not like that happens once every 2 weeks. That happens every day. And it's just not safe. And there's a lot of streets like that. I think each one of our wards has, you know, one of those cut-throughs that are, and we don't want to put up stop signs, because for sure stop signs are not supposed to control speed. That's to prevent accidents at actual intersections. So I just think if there's some way that we can work an opportunity where you know, council can shortcut those rules, or we can change those rules, that's really what I wanted to accomplish. I just think we need to make it easier to place those speed tables. If you go to, and Norman's a perfect example, but if you go to any of the neighborhoods in Norman that have been built in the last 15, 20 years probably, they're covered with speed tables. Almost every road in that neighborhood will have a speed table on it. And the purpose of that is because they want people to drive slowly in the neighborhoods, because there's children out playing and people walking dogs and things of that nature. And I'm not saying we need to put one on every road, but we need to make it easier to place those. And I don't know if we have looked at code. We probably need to look at that, if it's not already in there, to any new developments that we do, we need to make sure that speed tables are placed there to begin with. So I don't know where to go from here. I don't know if we just ask staff to bring back less restrictive rules, or if council wants to have the ability to just place those. I mean, originally when we first started talking about speed tables, we basically each were going to get one and we could put it wherever we wanted and we'd move it around, and then if it worked, we'd leave a permanent one there, and it just really hasn't worked out that way. So, and there's dollars involved, and I understand that, but possibly we need to look at having some money in every budget, a little bit, to do a couple roads in each ward here and there where we need them until we get to a point where we've got the major cut-throughs covered. And I guess that would be, I'll make a motion later if there's any discussion, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Ms. Chapman.
Larry, thank you for, I printed out the policy because I was unclear about it, and I can tell you probably everyone up here, that's our number one complaint is about speed. I know I started getting phone calls at 6:45 this morning wanting to know how can we get a speed bump. Well, what is the phone number of the Traffic Commission? I wasn't sure of the process, like what Councilman Warren was talking about on how to explain to people that we only have one per ward. And is it my understanding to move one of those speed bumps, there's like 200 plus boats that go into them?
Yeah, there are quite a few. I don't know the exact number, but yeah, there are numerous bolts that hold them
And
down.
so when those are removed, then the street has to be repaired where those boats went into the concrete or the asphalt?
Yeah, basically the holes are filled with epoxy.
And I've also had neighborhoods ask me if they could purchase a speed bump. You know, and here's another process, you know, how do we help people? Because every one of us have an area that is dangerous, multiple areas. I don't know the answer how, but I want you to know, and I'm sure you already know, that we're getting a lot of complaints from our neighbors and our residents in our wards about speeding.
Sure.
And Chief Smith has been so good about every once in a while I'll ask him, can you just put a car there, you know, well, and that works really great for a few hours, but it's not permanent solution. I don't know the answer, so I need some help here.
One of the things that I've noticed in a lot of communities, they're doing asphalt type tables. So they're permanent tables, they use an asphalt, and then they stripe around those and put signs up to show that those are tables. I know that our ones that we have now that are transportable, they're pretty expensive. They're not cheap. I think, what do we have now, 8?
Yeah, we have 8. They're $2,500 a piece.
Yeah, and I don't know the cost difference there, but one thing about it is if you did an asphalt one like they use a lot in Norman, obviously it's there for until they're ready, I guess, to dig it up. But you know, it just seems like to me we have too many roads. Eight of these deals, and I've talked to Mike about this. That's not enough, and we just don't have enough. I have questions about Kingsbriar. Constantly, people are calling me about their kids almost getting run over and things happening, and so we really need to address this. And whether it's, and we have the crews that could probably do the asphalt speed tables.
Yeah, it's the same crews. Our street and traffic division installs them. And really, the modular units are $6,000 to $7,000. An asphalt unit with striping and the signage is going to be $5,000. Not a big price difference, but like you said, that asphalt is permanent.
Right. I just think that may be something we need to think about. If we could save a couple $1,000s and we could pick out some of those areas and really start attacking some of these areas that are, because again, they want the traffic to stop, and there's only so many officers that can go out on the streets and stay there. I've had them go to Kingsbriar, I've had them go to different places, and it works for a little bit, but then as soon as they go away, those people know they're gone, and here we go again.
I've got a question. Have we put any permanent speed tables in after moving a speed table?
No, we've only used the modular units and relocated those.
Do we have a policy for a permanent speed table to be placed anywhere?
It would be the same policy. The traffic calming policy would apply to both permanent or the modular units.
Mm-hmm. I am curious, Because it appears, I do remember this discussion. The mayor doesn't have one, but it does, my memory is that the council person was going to choose where they go. Can't the council person would work directly with staff, and if staff has a reason that it shouldn't go there, discuss that with the council person and just kind of go direct? Is that not possible? Because, they are the elected officials.
Sure, and it's at the council's discretion. The neighborhood traffic calming policy has that criteria within it. There's nothing by law that says it has to be a number of 600 vehicles per day or a speed of 34 miles per hour. That speed and vehicle threshold can be set at whatever the council would like, or not have that threshold.
I just have one more thing. Because most of us, if we put that speed table somewhere, I'm not going to let you move it. Because it's just like a police officer being there. It's going to be the same exact effect. As soon as I pick it up and move it, we're going to start speeding down that road again. So to me, the permanent speed tables are the answer. Either that or buy the $7,000 idea. But to me, it seems like if we can build those speed tables, we should start doing that. And I know I have 3 or 4 places in my ward that need them today. And I'm sure everybody else does too. And we need to set aside some money that we can go after that, and Mike has the pot of money. So, we just need to figure it out to make it work. And then go to work on getting them in place. And I agree with you, Mayor. I think it's up to the council on where they go, and I'm not sure the Traffic Commission has to approve that.
Ms. Hankins?
I want to be clear with the Ward 1 residents because that was probably the first exciting thing I got to do was get a speed bump, and I did the wrong thing. Okay, I make mistakes. I was so excited because we could just put them down, then take them up, move them in my ward. So when I heard that you could get them, I was the first one to call because I was a new council member, and it's like, yes, me. And so we got one for Ward 1, and I watched them a little bit when they were putting it down, and I said, this wasn't as easy as we thought, was it? And they're like, no, it wasn't. But I had calls that children gathered there in that area to get the school bus. So that was why I made that decision. But boy, would I like to move it, and would my citizens like to move it too. But short of me figuring out a way to do it myself, I don't think that's going to happen.
Mr. Harris.
Larry, a zillion years ago, I was on the Traffic Commission for a very long time, and at that point in time, speed bumps were not the preferred method of controlling speed. Has that attitude changed?
Well, it was just at the direction of council back in 2020, we prepared and adopted that neighborhood traffic calming policy that allowed the construction. Prior to that, we did not install speed tables or speed bumps.
So, and the rationale behind that was, do you remember?
Just a desire for speed control in residential streets.
The rationale behind why we didn't put speed bumps in before. As I recall, is because we were concerned there was it created a liability to the city if something happened to somebody crossing over one, or if they hit one, even at their own fault, going too fast and went off, that it would be our problem.
Sure, liability has been a historical concern. Some communities obviously do not install speed tables for that reason. The city of Oklahoma City does not install speed bumps or speed tables.
Okay.
A lot of communities do not.
So one of the things, and ever since that time, and again, it was a very long time ago, but ever since I moved to this town, and the first stoplight I stopped at was at Cash Road and Forbes Hill Boulevard, and I spent 3 days there. I have thought we have the worst traffic control system in the history of mankind. And I'm just pushing now. I know that it's a long time until we have another CIP, but I think it's time to modernize our system overall so that we take the rationale between doing the cut-throughs.
So we need to keep our discussion to the speed tables and the Traffic Commission. We put that on the agenda if you want to discuss it.
Okay. So I like the plan that you have. I agree with Randy that maybe we need to change the parameters to do that, because they did seem excessive to me. But at the same time, yeah, if we only have one per ward, we're always going to be chasing our tail. But thank you for the work you've done. I think you've done well.
So, council, do you desire to direct any functional changes?
Mayor, if I...
Yes.
I have just a comment on it. It's a really good policy, really well written, very detailed. I don't know about the requirements to qualify for a speed table in there. If we find we're denying everybody, I'm kind of with Mr. Warren. If it's just 10 cars a day going 45, that's probably enough to justify it. And like Mr. Burke said, having permanent tables is probably a good idea because some places will never be good for that. And I know you know because we talked about this. People cut through the neighborhood sometimes because of something else, like the traffic light they've got. Some of our traffic lights are they don't really know what's going on. They're just on a fixed time schedule. And so a solution may be to upgrade that light so it can sense the traffic and get everybody along faster and keep them from cutting through the neighborhood to try to save time.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes. I just wanted to clarify, I think the question was asked whether or not we can work directly with staff to establish where we want these to go, or does it still have to go through the commission?
Yeah, there's nothing really in the city code or the way this is set up that would stop council from directly having a speed table installed at their discretion.
Mr. Warren.
I guess maybe the solution is, because I also know that I think all of y'all been sending your complaint calls to me because I've been getting them from all over town. But anyway, I think the permanent speed table is definitely the way to go. We've got some movable ones. Eventually, I think we probably should pull those up, put permanent in their place, and we should use those temporary in areas where we're pushing traffic from an arterial through a neighborhood because of construction or whatever, and we can drop those down to keep that traffic slow when we're detouring through neighborhoods. But I'd just like to, I guess I'd make a motion. I don't even know if I just make a motion to direct the manager to provide to council in each budget an equal amount per ward to be used for speed tables,
And
permanent speed tables.
Do we need a policy on permanent speed tables? Do we have one?
Mayor, the traffic calming policy that Larry's talking about is how we would go about that. Now, I do have two concerns. One would be if we decide that we want to put a permanent speed table in there, the word permanent is the optimal word there. We can't move it again at that point. So that would be some consideration for council to make when they decide to put a speed table there, because like Ms. Hankins' speed table that she put in, if that were a permanent one, we wouldn't be able to move it. So that would be a consideration to work with staff. So when council calls and says, I would like a speed table, and we appropriate funding for it, that we take that in consideration with staff's recommendations, that when we put a speed table in place, it's going to have to stay there. We don't want to have to put one in and then rip it out later. So that would be my only consideration. And we can look in the budget about appropriating funding for speed tables at a certain amount. We started off with 4, and then we added 4 more the next year, and we could do a number, maybe we do 1 or 2 each ward per year, and that way we'll work through it systematically.
That's what I was thinking, was maybe 2 a year per ward.
I'm thinking 4.
So,
$100,000?
Can you restate your motion?
I'd make a motion that we direct the manager to provide in each budget proper funding to install permanent speed tables, 2 per ward in each year's budget.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion or debate?
Michael, just while I'm thinking about it, hopefully we can order some more temporary ones coming up in the next budget year. The one I had, when they redistrict, Mr. Warren ended up stealing mine. So I don't have any more.
That was all intentional.
I know.
That was the plan.
One last consideration for council to consider when you're deciding on the speed tables. When we discussed this in previous council meetings, the talk of emergency vehicles, so we don't want to put them in arterials or heavily trafficked areas for our emergency vehicles. You know, we would tear up a $500,000 fire truck pretty quickly if they don't realize that the speed table's there. So that's another thing to consider.
Now, most of them would go on collectors, I think.
Go into neighborhoods.
And that would be okay? A
Correct,
collector?
yes, because it's a slower speed limit there.
And then, Mayor, wouldn't we have we'd have signage that would show there's like they do in Norman that says, slow down, goober, you're fixing to hit this.
Yeah, and I think they're only located on 25-mile-an-hour roadways anyway, so.
Yes, there are signs associated with each speed table.
Okay, now, the city attorney's asked if you'll amend your motion to include subject to available funding.
I would amend that to include subject to available funding.
And Mr. Fortenbaugh, you're okay with that second? Okay. Any further discussion or debate? Mr. Harris?
Yes. Randy, would you consider amending that to say permanent or temporary?
Well, I think the good thing about permanent is it's a little bit like what Michael was saying. If we talk permanent, we need to be serious about it, and I think it will drive us in a direction of being more mindful of where we put them. There's a lot of money involved in installing those temporary, and I know Mr. Burke's over there saying 4 per ward, but I'm trying to let Michael off easy on the budget.
We could share some of that medical marijuana money. We're up 11%. Yes, sir. We are up 11%, but costs for goods and services are up 25 to 150%. So.
Yes.
Please vote. And the motion carries 6-1. Consider item number 14. Consider a resolution approving the trust indenture creating the Lawton Youth Sports Authority, providing for appointment of the initial trustees, setting forth the purposes of the trust estate, and powers of the trustees, authorizing the acceptance of the beneficial interest of the trust by the beneficiary, the City of Lawton, making any floor amendments council deems necessary, and authorizing the execution of the trust indenture as appropriate. John.
Mayor, council, good afternoon. We finally put together the indenture. It was a team effort, and we got it done. And subject to this document being approved, the Sports Authority will be able to stand up and begin functioning. That's really all I have.
Mr. Burke.
As you well know, I'm a huge proponent of trusts. I've started a few myself, so I think this is a great way to do it. I think this is the right way to do it. The only concerns that I have is Article 6, the trustees and how they're appointed. And the only reason I say that is because usually they're spread out in different organizations. And the way we've got this set up here is that the mayor will appoint 2 council members to serve, and then the other ones, I'm not exactly sure, but I mean, they're all my friends, so I'm not saying that bad because they've all done a great job. So no arrows going here, but it would be nice in my mind if we set out how those people were appointed, because it goes on to say that as those other 7 positions, as they become vacant, they are reappointed by whomever's left on the trust to appoint whomever they choose that lives inside the city limits. To me, that becomes an issue, because then it's, I know John, and John's going to make sure I get appointed, and Larry's going to make sure I get appointed, and it becomes then political, which we don't want it to be political either. I don't want to get the complaints. So my thought was, and I just scratched this down as I was reading this, maybe one from the Chamber of Commerce. That's selected by the chamber. Maybe the mayor still appoints 2 people, but not council people, because that's normally not what the mayor does in a trust. Usually the council appoints council members to serve, to represent them. And then I think maybe somebody, and I don't know if the Parks and Recreation Commission is going away. I don't know. And if it is, fine. If it isn't, then I would assume one person from that association would want to be on the trust. Again, I thought maybe a couple of appointments from Law and Public Schools. Maybe 2 members again, as you suggested, Mayor, from council. But council would approve those 2 members that would sit on that board. And I don't care about the 2 that are on that. I'm perfectly fine with you 2 doing that. But all I'm saying is then, and that just leaves really one more that we figure out who it came from. But I really believe that in the ones that I've done in the past, we've always tried to figure out ways that those positions would be refilled and how it would be equitable and nobody would really have control of the situation. And so that's my only concern. I think that I read the trust indenture. I think it's fine, and I think that's great, and I think you guys will do a great job. And the members that are on here, I'm fine with that. If they're just picked by groups, to me, that's a better situation than 7 people picking or 8 people picking who a replacement would be.
I appreciate that. I think the idea here was to keep people that are engaged in the sports programs. And I want to make a comment. We meaning whoever's doing it, whether it's me or the group that's left, all we do is nominate. The council appoints. So we're just nominating them, and it says here that the remaining people, now there may be an appointment by the mayor of council members, but that still has to come through the council. It always does anytime I appoint somebody. But for instance, I just appointed Mr. Warren to fill an empty seat on Lawton Economic Development Authority and had to go through council, and the council had to approve it. So the council has the final say. I believe it's important to keep people that are very focused on sports in this. No, I don't have anything against any organization, but what we talked about was an advisory committee, or what we call it on the Youth and Family Committee is a technical committee. And the technical committee or advisory committee is where we put people from places like Lawton Public Schools or Cameron or the chamber that we want to work with, that we want associated, and they would constantly be involved. But in order to engage citizens, the idea was to have the remaining members of the council nominate to the remaining members of the authority, nominate to the council who would serve, and then it would be up to the council. Brian, did you have something you wanted to say?
Well, some of that may be repeat, right? And I did want to point out that fact, right, that the council does have final say-so over it. You know, so I've called us, Hosseин's here, and Albert had a previous engagement, the 3 knuckleheads, because we're the ones that have been fighting this thing for 2.5 years, almost 3 years now. So we were kind of given that we were going to be on that, I guess. And we made every meeting, so I'm not sure how that worked. But so what we tried to do from there were spread out expertise and make sure we had people that had kids in that range that would be participating or potentially coming up into that range that would participate in it. You know, I think we have on the selection a broad range, right? We have entrepreneurs, we have attorneys, we have chamber represented, we have Cameron University represented. So, you know, I understand what you're saying, Councilman Burke, about, you know, passing the baton on to your buddy, but there are 8 other members on there to get the nomination going through, and then this body has final say-so over that piece. So that's the reason for the makeup. And I will tell you, going through the list, you know, the piece about how many people have to live in the city of Lawton became an issue. We had to bypass some people that were super excited to be on it. With Mayor's Council, we're going to try and get them on this advisory piece because they don't live in the city limits. So that's sort of the rationale for how we came to the names itself. And I think there's some fail-safes in there for your concerns going forward, but obviously that will be up to you guys today.
My only thing, Brian, was just the fact that this is the only trust I've seen that ever was put this way. The rest of them are all by organization. So I've just never seen one done.
Now, this is the way our museum authority is now, and they recently just changed it to that. Before, it was nominated, I think they were all nominated by the mayor. Now, one or two is nominated by the mayor. The rest are nominated by the authority. Any other discussion or debate? And do we have a motion? Motion for approval, second. Further discussion or debate, please vote. And the passing of 7-0, one of the things the mayor does when we start a new authority is give somebody $10. I'm not sure who I give it to, so I'm going to give it to the attorney. There you go.
Your money is in good hands, Mayor.
Well, I'm excited about this, and I appreciate you guys that have been working on this from the beginning, and I appreciate the council's support in moving forward for this. Item number 15, consider approving change order number 21 to the contract between Flint Co. LLC and the City of Lawton and accepting the construction of the Public Safety Facility Project, EN 1406, and putting the maintenance bond into effect. Joe Painter.
Mayor and Council, this is the final change order for the Public Safety Center. This will be the last payment to the contractor, for sure. We're sure. And this will close out the project as far as Flint Coat goes and release their retainage.
Move to approve. And this better be the last one.
I'm going to second that, but in the future, can we call it something besides change order? Because I am tired of hearing that word.
And Joe, will this take down the signs that are out by the road?
Yes.
Thank you.
It's on their list.
Okay, we have a motion for approval and a second. Discussion or debate? Please vote. The motion carries 7-0. We've already had staff reports. Is there a motion to go into executive session? Oh, excuse me, just a minute. We have another staff report.
Good afternoon, Council Mayor.
Good afternoon.
Just wanted to give you an update on the cemetery art evaluation. I was contacted by Preservation and Design Studio right before lunch to let me know that their owner had passed away last week after an 8-month battle with cancer. And so they are no longer able to fulfill our agreement to review the arch. And so we're kind of having to pick back up and start over again. I'm going to reach out to the Oklahoma State Preservation Commission, see if they have any recommendations for a company. The previous company said they would look out and see if they had any, peer companies that they could recommend, but it wouldn't be for, several weeks to a month until they kind of got reorganized. So just wanted to let everybody know that we've hit another snag with the cemetery arch, but we're going to try to move forward as quickly as possible.
Okay, thank you for that. And Mr. Burke made a motion to go into executive session, right? Yes. Is there a second? We have a second. Please call the roll.
Harris. Yes. Chapman. Yes. Burke. Yes. Fortenbaugh. Yes. Johnson. Warren. Yes. Hankins. Yes.
I'll get Tracy's, I've already talked to them. The other three will come by. Tracy's witnessed the signatures. When they come by and sign it, it'll be...
Okay, wonderful.
She'll do her back. Glad we could get this moving forward.
So, you can have this. I'm not going to take it. Okay? Thank you.
Is he serious? Is he serious? He's pretty smart. That's why we got him here. Pretty good up until you had it until you said Michael's got to take it out. Well, you know, like, it's appropriate. What are you saying? I'm going to tell you all this stuff. No, you said you're obligated to go down there. You just do about it.
Okay, I think we're back. Call this meeting to order. Call the roll.
Chapman. Here. Burke. Here. Fortenbaugh. Johnson. Warren. Hankins. Harris.
Pursuant to Section 307B4, Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, council convened an executive session to discuss an action relating to litigation against the manufacturers and distributors of opioids in an effort to hold them accountable for their marketing practices alleged to have caused public nuisance and monetary damage suffered by municipalities, specifically the city's pending litigation as part of NRA, National Prescription Opiate Litigation. I understand there is no further action on this agenda item. Pursuant to Section 307B4, Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, council convened an executive session to discuss the pending case styled City of Lawton versus Darrell Dunn and Christine Jane Downs, the United States Postal Service, McDonald's LLC, successor by merger to Systems Capital Real Property Corporation, Family Video Movie Club Incorporated, Bank First, successor by the merger to Security Bank and Trust Company, and KSRB LLC, case number CJ 202147473 in the District Court of Comanche County in the state of Oklahoma. I understand there is a motion for this agenda item.
I move to accept the cash settlement offer from the Dunns, pay the back taxes to the county treasurer, and accept the quick claim deed from the Dunns for the property in question.
Have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please. Vote, please. Item number 18. John?
Did the item pass?
There'll be a motion. Oh, I'm sorry. Item number 17 passed 7-0.
Pursuant to Section 307B1, Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, council convened an executive session to review the employment of Tracy Hushback as city clerk. I understand there's a motion on this agenda item.
Yes, after discussion with Tracy, I think the council is very happy with her employment, and we are offering a 5% pay increase for Tracy for the upcoming year.
Have a motion. Have a motion and a second. Call the roll or vote. I vote yes.
She already had that down.
That item passed 7-0. At this time, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a motion? Second. Call the roll.
Burke. Fortenbaugh. Johnson. Warren. Hankins. Harris. Chapman.